What's going on, y'all? KM Best here. Today, I lost a ton of ranks and was looking for a deck to get me back up. I found a unique and weird Loki deck that is eschewing many of the principles that I talk about in my Loki builds, and is instead investing in just playing great ongoing cards alongside Loki, and I had a great win rate with it, which you can see right next to me, and it was a blast. So let's check it out. This is the deck that I am affectionately calling Dumb Guy Loki. And the reason it's Dumb Guy Loki is there's no complex bounce mechanics in it. There's no anything you need to keep track of. It's just you play some good cards, and also Loki is there when you are in need of a major game plan. This list reminds me of the lists that Loki was playing when it first emerged onto the scene, and it has some similar problems to those lists, namely a vulnerability to decks that are filling up the board with cards like Debris, and a vulnerability to clogging its own hand and being unable to draw in certain scenarios. You have a ton of cards that are really filling up your hand in this deck, and part of that is because you are a Devil Dinosaur deck as well as a Loki deck. In addition, you are a Quinjet deck, as well as a Devil Dinosaur and Loki deck. So you are a deck that is making great use of these cards when they enter into your hand. Your Sentinels will cost 1. Your Snow Guard animals will cost 2. Your 4 costs and 5 costs off of Agent Coulson will get decreased as well. And of course, all your Loki cards, we already know how Loki Quinjet works. So what is this deck actually trying to do? It's really just a curve deck, and your backup plan when you don't have Loki is a really good Miss Marvel Devil Dinosaur deck. And I think what really tipped me about this deck making sense was yesterday's video about Ronin and just how good Miss Marvel Ronin was as a plan A. And it turns out when this is your plan B, Miss Marvel and of course Devil Dinosaur, a little bit smaller than Ronin some of the time, it's a very viable plan as well. Now, the major thing that this deck is looking to do is still be a Loki deck, but you have so many other viable discount plans. Quinjet and Coulson is probably one of the best things you can be doing, that it is a deck that almost anyone can pick up and play without worrying too much about if they're missing the intricacies of Loki. If you haven't played Loki before and you're afraid because it's a high skill cap deck, I think this deck will help you get into the archetype. I honestly think it would be fair to call this a Quinjet deck before you called it anything else. Actually, Quinjet is a remarkable card in this list, discounting like half of the stuff that you do. And being able to determine when you need to be a Quinjet Coulson type gamer, Quinjet, Coulson, Nick Fury, things like that, and when you need to be a Loki gamer is actually a pretty key piece towards making this deck make sense. Now, I'm not saying it wouldn't make sense otherwise, but I am saying that understanding when to be just, I'm going to put stats on the board, and when to invest in Loki is actually the one part of this deck that is not a true dumb guy situation. You do have to actually ask yourself what your opponent is playing and whether or not what you have in your hand is good against that, or if their deck would be good against their deck. Snowguard is here, but I don't really think she's required. You have so many ways of putting cards in your hand that Maria Hill or Agent 13 are totally serviceable substitutes. There's honestly an argument that Maria Hill might be straight up better, because at least when Maria Hill puts a card in your hand, you know you can play it that next turn. And sometimes if you don't have a 2-drop and you play your Snowguard on 1, you end up in these situations where you can't play a Coulson because you didn't play a card on 2, and you put 2 cards in your hand on the first turn, and then you're going to be blocking off your own draw if you play your Coulson. That is a situation that you would likely want to avoid, and it is a situation that this card puts the deck in. Why I think she's worth sacrificing that situation some of the time is because of just how good she is with a Devil Dinosaur. If your final turn is Devil Dinosaur plus a 1-drop, this is the best 1-drop to go alongside it by a long shot. You are a Loki deck that also specializes in putting cards in your hand. Collector is great even without Loki when you play this list. Sentinel is one of a few cards that I am legitimately unsure about in this list. Again, we have so many ways to put cards in our hand that some of the time the deck just clunks, doesn't draw the power cards, and we're just sitting there putting cards into our hand and doing absolutely nothing. And Sentinel is a culprit of that. I think Mirage would be a very, very fine addition if you want to make it. However, the upside on Sentinel is that Sentinel with Quinjet is extremely powerful, and in a metagame where less people are trying to clog you, I do think Sentinel is a little bit better. That said, right now there is a bunch of, pretty bad Selene decks running around on ladder, and those decks are going to be better against your Quinjet Sentinel game plan because once you fill up 2 spots in any lane, you are suddenly very viable to get fully clogged there, and you do have to be afraid of that. Still, I think Sentinel overall edges it out. Just in certain metas, perhaps like the one we're in now, you might want to go to something a little less board spammy. One of the very fun things that this deck does is say, you know what, not a lot of people are playing Loki right now, and so I'm just going to play all the cards that if I run into a Loki mirror, I will just try to skill diff it out. Like, that is what this deck is doing. There are so many cards in this deck that you do not want to give your opponent in a Loki mirror, and you just have to deal with that. And I think this is a deck that is really taking advantage of the fact that, a lot of people are thinking that Loki is not a good deck right now, that it is not the card to be playing. All I can tell you is my results with this deck have suggested drastically otherwise, but perhaps that's because I'm building into an expected meta that is not very Loki heavy. This is a deck that is definitely going to get out mirrored by the small ball Loki decks. It's just there aren't enough of them to make me totally afraid of that and sacrifice what I can get with this power in the other matchups. And of course, Rogue, if your opponent has it, is so good against you. You are a Devil Dinosaur Miss Marvel deck. This card is the devil. You do not want to give this to your opponent, but it's also really good for you because there's a lot of decks that this card is absolutely incredible against. And so if you're not going to worry about the Loki mirror, that is the ethos of this deck. We are not worrying about the Loki mirror. We'll skill diff it. We'll figure it out. It's fine. We'll draw Collector Loki. They won't. Whatever. We'll make it work. We are going to play the cards that are good in the metagame. Agent Coulson paired with Quinjet is a decent portion of how you're going to be putting power on the board. Getting that 1 energy discount on basically any 4 or 5 drop in the game is extremely, extremely relevant. And while this deck does have a lot of ways of putting power on the board, Coulson Quinjet is one of the most cost-efficient things that it can be doing, short of very, very stupid Loki turns. You're going to get a lot of surprise value out of this card as well. While I was playing this deck off stream, and you won't actually see this on the replay because, again, I was playing it off stream, I got Sentry Annihilus off of this guy, and it's just like, how is my opponent ever supposed to play around that? How are they honestly supposed to play around that? And the answer is, you shouldn't play around that, and that's what gives Coulson cards so much power, especially when they're being discounted by a Quinjet. It is very, very difficult for your opponent to figure out what they're supposed to do, and you can look at what they're doing and say, I expect this, and this card I got from Coulson can blow them out, and that gives you a lot of snap equity. Cable is another card I am not sure of, but he's been good enough that I have no issues with him. Like, I can't really honestly say that this is a great card for the deck, but I can't honestly say I have any better ideas either, where Cable is just doing this thing where it's like, you know what? Every time I play him, I'm happy enough with it. It's a card that is not putting 2 cards in your hand, which weirdly does matter. Like, sometimes I'll play Cable instead of Coulson because Coulson will prevent me from drawing a card and Cable won't. And like, yeah, that's like a weird way to look at this, but it does actually come up a decent amount of the time. The information can be helpful. Obviously, he's not like amazing, but he's at least a little bit useful, and generally, your deck is going to do pretty decent things with your opponent's cards because of the Quinjet. Again, this is very much a Quinjet deck, to the point that I think it might have like 1 or 2 too many card generators. Looking at you, Nick Fury, we'll get to you later, but it's a very, very, just like it said, it's a dumb guy deck. You're just playing your cards, and Cable's a good card for that kind of deck. When you just want to get cards that put cards in your hand, and the rest of your hand isn't doing that, Cable will do it. When you want to put only 1 card in your hand instead of 2, Cable will do it. When you want to know what your opponent is playing because they haven't played a card for 3 turns, and you need to figure out if they're a combo deck or not, Cable can do that too. Here's where things get weird, because we're about to show you a million 4-drops, and yet I'm not playing Zabu, and I can't really fully express to you 100% why I don't like Zabu in here. I think maybe I should try it a little more, but every Zabu Loki deck I get to is just like, oh, I hate this card. I hate it existing in here. I don't like this being a part of my deck. I don't like this 2/2 that doesn't do anything running around and sitting in my deck and just not helping me at all. And Shang-Chi is a card that would have a lot of synergy with Zabu. It'd be very, very good in those games. And I think that that is the major draw for me putting in a Zabu, is enabling these sort of turn 6 Shang-Chi plus Nick Fury after Devil Dinosauring on turn 5 kind of plays. That would be the thing that you would want to do. As far as like why we're running Shang-Chi, I feel like that should be obvious. Shang-Chi is a great card and gets rid of a lot of very big stuff, and you definitely have to worry about very big stuff in this meta. You're still a Loki deck, and you still play the card Loki, because that's what you do when you are a Loki deck. The other extremely strong 4/5 in this deck is, of course, Ms. Marvel, and you're gonna have to play a certain type of way in order to make sure that she is going to be on. One of the actual skill testing bits of this deck is sequencing your early game so that your Ms. Marvel ends up actually being on, and I think that's, not like the most skill testing thing in the world, but for a deck called Dumb Guy Loki, it does require a decent amount of foresight and thinking about what's gonna happen if I get these cards off the Loki, etc. Ms. Marvel is usually a better card to play than Loki some of the time. I'd say most of the time, actually, gonna be a better card to play on turn 4. However, there are these very specific scenarios like, okay, they're gonna fill up your board and you won't actually be able to get the buff off, or they're a deck with Rogue, or they're a Loki deck and they're gonna get your Rogue, and there's just like a bunch of weird spots that this card puts you in, but fundamentally, she's a 4-cost Doctor Doom. Your job is to make her be a 4-cost Doctor Doom, and generally you are fine with Lokiing on 5 in a way other Loki decks tend not to be because of the Quinjet inclusion here. You can Loki on 5 and still play just an asinine amount of stuff and not actually worry about the issues that would cause another deck. Nick Fury is the card I am the absolute least sure of in this entire list. I have generally disliked nearly every Nick Fury deck. One thing I would consider trying with this list is dropping Nick Fury for Zabu and seeing if that takes you anywhere that's like really relevant, because Zabu has the overlap not just with Agent Coulson, but with your myriad of 4-drop cards as well. Nick Fury is rarely giving me cards that I end up playing, but some of the time you do end up on the Quinjet into some dudes, into Nick Fury, into a 6-drop, into a 6-drop kind of game. It's not the most common thing, but the other thing that he will do is add 3 power to your collector and add 6 power to your Devil Dinosaur on the final turn of the game. And I think that is a more relevant use case, but I do think that a lot of the time we end up having to say, all right, I'm not going to draw here. And Nick Fury is a big reason that, to me, this deck feels as clunky as it does. And I know I've mentioned that a lot. Oh, the deck feels clunky. Here's the thing, though. I feel like the win rate and the cube rate kind of speak for itself. Like, yeah, it's clunky, but there's some power here. And as we refine this list, there might be something real here. Devil Dinosaur is very, very large, and it has been out of Loki decks basically since they came out. You didn't want to be giving your opponent Devil Dinosaurs that they could use more effectively than you when Loki was a massive part of the metagame. However, right now at least, Loki is not a massive part of the metagame, and we can build to beat other matchups rather than focusing hyperbolically on the Loki mirror. Don't get me wrong, because of doing stuff like this, you're not going to be favored in the mirror. That's just how it is. However, you are outputting a very large amount of points, and that is something that gives this Loki deck the oomph that it currently lacks in other forms. Devil Dinosaur is a huge part of that. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed that look at this build of Dumb Guy Loki. I really enjoyed playing it. What happened today for me was I basically played off stream, and I lost all the way down to like about, I want to say like 9220 SP, and then I started playing this deck and I climbed all the way back up to where I started and then some. I went like plus 100 SP with it, and that ended up being like about 15 ranks. I went from like 45 to 33, 12 ranks. I can do math, I swear. But that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I think that is like a very real like showcase of what the deck can do, and you're going to get some of that in the video now. We're going to cut to some gameplay. I hope you enjoy looking at how I piloted this deck, because it is a dumb guy deck, but it does tend to clunk, and you do need to actually focus on what does work for you. I hope this works for you, and I also hope for those people who are afraid of trying Loki, that this helps be a very solid on-ramp to the archetype by helping hybridize it with something that you definitely understand, which is playing Ms. Marvel and playing Devil Dinosaur and just putting a lot of stats on the board. And that is a totally viable plan, and this deck really capitalizes on it. So, as always, I've been KM Best. I hope you enjoy. I will see you in the next one, and I cannot wait to see you. Thank you so much. You've been phenomenal. I will see you in the next one. Definitely hurt. I don't see a need for a Snow Guard with a hand like this. It's very likely to be a card I'll want later in the game instead. That's a later in the game move, I think. Issues here include my deck is much better to Loki than other Loki decks. It's definitely a problem. I am going to try to get out of it by Quinjetting here. That's a big issue. Holy shit. Never mind. Keep the other Quinjet? No. Think about how much energy we're using here. Oh my fuck. Have you seen the movie The Marvels? Chat, have you seen the movie The Marvels? That is, if I snap, he's so fucking leaving, dude. There's not a world in hell where I can snap and he is not leaving. Unbelievably no. Like, like, are you fucking serious? And if I snap that, you don't get to see this, okay? If I snap that, you don't get to see this. Literally the Marvels. Exactly that. Okay. Guy's playing Thanos, but my hand isn't very good. My hand remains complete ass. Okay, you know what? I'm going to rogue that because that's how bad my hand is. Nice. Now I'm just going to rogue that to get the rogue out of my hand. Late streams go crazy? I guess. Note that I could think about playing Miss Marvel here, but I'm fucking not. Because, incredibly, between Debris and Rogue, we actually just don't have anything. Spicy blob? I don't think it's that spicy, honestly. Nice. All I've got to do is set up a scenario where none of their lanes are winning and I can't get blobbed. That's basically what I'm attempting to accomplish here. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to set up that scenario, but I'm going to try. Looks like I did. We'll see. Yep. Coolio. And yeah, just pretty much needed any scenario where that would work. Where is deck tracker? Should I have just faded the other things and just been like, it's gonna be fine? I don't know. Whoa, they snapped me. What's up with that? What's up with that? A Nihilist bounce type deck? Loki? Do I snap back on this? Yeah, sure. Me too, dude. Okay. So we have this. Do we just go double Miss Marvel? Is it just better? My instinct is no, that's not better. I can't exactly explain why. Okay, that's really bad. That's really fucking bad. I think I die. Wait, never mind. I win. Never mind. I win. It's okay. I won the 50-50 for 8 cubes. My back hurts, chat. I have a knot in my back. I have a knot in my back, chat. It's unpleasant. They call me the cheese wheel. Wow, shout out to Ron White. What a throwback that is. I'm gonna shuffle more rocks in. I'm griefing. I hope they're not a Darkhawk deck. What's that on your shirt? Oh, it's from Peep Show. Fucking, of course it's Hella. Why would it not be Hella? God damn it. Do we want this rock? Or I want the extra points. Well, let's try. Okay. We got him on the double Subterranea gameplay. Okay. Well, we have Collector and we have Loki, but they probably just got my Loki, so that's very annoying. Whatever they got, it's definitely good for them. Alrighty. Interesting. I'm never playing that guy. Whoa, they snapped me. Why? Why? I don't know. I'll play it. I don't give a fuck. Uh-huh. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. No Celine gameplay? No, I'm good on that. Demon Loki? Hell yes, cook, dude. Let's go. Maybe? Oh shit, I just opened my own shit up to a Shang-Chi, didn't I? Well, that is deeply unpleasant. That is deeply unpleasant that I have done this to myself. Is this still winnable? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? I hate that I run my own Shang-Chi in here. It makes me very sad. I think I've died. Huh? Woo! Green Goblin! Let's go. I knew what the good one was. I really wish I did. Also, I gave you VIP, Hella Enjoyer. So enjoy that. Just tuning in, did I miss any Gamba? You actually did miss one Gamba. Unfortunate for you, isn't it? Got a chance at hitting my Dino or my Collector here. What the fuck are you playing is my major question. What the fuck are you playing? Some kind of surfer. I see. Totally plausible. Please be Dino or Collector. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the shit. That's the shit right there. Enjoy that extra energy. Sincerely, I hope it helps you. That's an Annihilus? God, I hope it is. God, I hope that's Annihilus. Oh, it kills their next card! Oh my god! The Doc Ock just dies! That's insane! On the left. Thank you, Danae. I appreciate the prime. Okay, how do I throw priority here? I suck. Okay, so okay, we're good. The Shadow King to reset the ham. The Shadow King to reset the ham so that did not get sent over was clutch there. I was very sad to learn that Vin Diesel is apparently a terrible person. That was unfortunate to learn. If anyone hasn't heard, it's very sad. Apparently the allegations against him are quite painful. They snapped me on one. Well, I'm imagining I'm going to get shit on here, but I'll stick in it on the grounds that my hand is pretty good, and then inevitably die when it's a Deadpool deck. I see. Maybe that helps me. If you reverse this Loki Sentinel, it's a tiebreak L. I was thinking about what if I just put them both on the middle. Oh. Just a mirror? Okay. The real thing was I didn't know if you had, what's his face? I didn't know if you had our boy, you know the guy. The Shadow King, that guy. Oh, Pacific Rim is a great movie. I will hear absolutely no slander towards Pacific Rim. That is you can't do that. That's a ridiculous thing to do. Does the rocks go into Loki switching decks? No. Maybe I shouldn't play this Dino, because if he has the card Loki, I'm pretty fucked. Should have been the Gamora, actually. This should have been the Gamora, and that could be game losing for me, I think. Sarah? Fuck is happening here? Oh, is that from Coulson? Sure. Here's a bunch of dudes. Nice. Shang now. All right, well, that saves me some time. You go there. You go there. Cable. Olson. Cosmo. Jeff. Maria Hill. He's going here. He's going here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The one card. Ooh. Dude, me switching that Nick Fury off is actually game-winning here. Me switching that Nick Fury the fuck away is literally game-winning. Well, no, it's not. I would have filled up the board anyway, wouldn't I? No. No. I would have lost 2 points on the middle, and if I'd Nick Fury'd, I would have just won the left outright. Yeah, I don't fucking know why they stayed either. Mattered at all, and her effect was doubled there. Did a fat 0 to my game plan. A goblin that was going middle. I mean, that's cool, but, like, I don't think that changes much for me, you know? What is up with this Shuri's Lab shit, by the way? What's up with that? Ah, shit. Beast? Green Goblin. Oh, okay. Vaguely winnable game. Probably dead. Very plausibly dead. You enjoying the junk meta? Seems okay to me. Like, the basic bet we're making here is they don't have any big guys. Oh my god! Oh my god, chat! Have you ever seen anyone as skilled as your boy? No Shang, nada. We play around the Shang.